are not created yet. There's a way in which at the beginning of the process, we have the illusion that the outside imposes experiences on us, that what we live, we have nothing to do with that, as if those experiences that we live are a result of something that is out there. Instead of seeing that what is in our life, everything that is in our life is a reflection of our inner state, of attitudes, of ideas that we have. And to believe that the outside is a fortune, it's fortunate, it makes us so we can't create the life we want. So if we want to change our lives, we need to question this. And this is what we do in the pathwork. The pathwork is a path that takes us to question day to day with courage, with humility, with honesty. And as long as we do this, we gain strength, we gain confidence, and that feeling of safety, that there's nothing to fear, because we establish connections between what we live and how that is created. Is there's a contribution from us to that we start to understand. It's very clear to us how it will be very clear to us how our lives and what we live, whether if it's a nice event or a tense event, it's very clear how that is the result of what is in ourselves, beliefs, feelings, attitudes, intents that we have, especially in some areas where we're not satisfied yet. We'll see right there how our experience or our life is created by destructive patterns, by this resistance, how this divine aspect wants to go towards that unified state, and this other part resists that. That is why, as long as we do this process of investigating, of exposing to, there's new material that comes to the surface, and that material can be integrated, can be assimilated by consciousness. And when we transform, doing this inner purification process, we will also see changes that happen in our lives, in our relationships. I know that many of us doing this process, we have a feeling of having lived many times in the same body. Like if we go backwards in our life, we will say something like, oh, that belonged to a past that doesn't belong to me now anymore. And it's seeing how what we live in the world, the division, the separation, even the unity that we create here, how it shows us that where we are, if we are trapped in duality, or if we are in that moment going towards a unified state. And to find the truth, we're going to need to go to deeper layers to find these inner realities that are underneath the duality that is in the surface and that we can't see, and accessing those deep truths to question, to confront, to live or experience the feelings. That is going to make it so that our thoughts change, that our attitudes change, that our perception to life changes. For example, we can feel victims of a situation. in the past, we can, maybe we said, oh, this person is hurting me and I have no resources for this to stop being like this, unless the other person changes their attitude, unless the other person modifies something. And we convince ourselves of that. We have proof to assert that is truth. And to let go of that conviction, the first step is to want to see the truth, to want to expand that vision, to see it from a different perspective. How am I contributing to this situation? Maybe I'm competing with this person. Maybe I think I'm better than them, or I see how I'm blaming them, or how I want to show them that I'm right and they are wrong. And when we start to see our contribution, we stop being victims, because we know that it is our own posture towards the other one that creates this situation. And just by seeing this is a much more alive place. That's a place that makes our soul relax, and it makes it so that a new way to deal with what is outside can show up. We have no idea how much it hurts to be trapped in duality, and how when we are trapped in duality, we focus only in one little part and we can't see the full picture. I want to make something clear here. It may be that someone may be hurting. I'm not saying that is an illusion. What I'm saying is that we don't see the full picture, that we don't see our contribution, and we stand only on the errors that we see on the outside. A tip to see here, to look at ourselves, because this is something that we'll see day to day. And when we're not in harmony, it's because we're not in truth. Every time we're in fear or in tension, we can know that there's a truth that is asking to be found there. And in that moment, if we want, maybe we can do it with someone, we can call someone and we can say, I'm in this state here. Can you help me to see the truth? Because I don't see it. That makes it so that we become receptive to the help, to a different outlook, and to open up ourselves to something that we're not seeing. The consciousness fills our hearts with much joy, because we know we have the potential to awaken into a different reality, a much more desirable reality. And this is a process that needs for us to question our beliefs, to look our reactions, to look at our areas in life where there is a satisfaction, to question what we think. And that makes it that as long as we do it, is a way to learn how to die. We learn to stop resisting feelings. And that feeling, what we resist to feeling, it's a little death that helps us every day that we do this exercise. It helps us stop being afraid of death. We start letting go doubts. And there's something where the more daily deaths we have, the more we're going to live, the more we're going to get in touch with this inner nucleus that doesn't die, that it's eternal. More vitality we'll feel. It's another way of life in this world, and it's a way of living that dissolves that pain of duality, that tension of going towards one pole to avoid connecting to the other one. If we who are here, the ones who are have been walking this process for a long time, we know that the fear that we feel in the last stance, it's a fear of of the unknown within us, the destructiveness, the negative in ourselves that we project on the outside. And that as long as we live in an inner tension, we're not going to have the conviction that there's a state, much more desirable state. And to heal and to really go towards unity, what we need is for our system to relax completely. That's when we're going to get in touch with our divinity. So we're going to see how for all of this to create a more desirable state, visualization is essential. So first we have this state that we want to access, and to visualize, it's something that we do in meditation. Meditation being a creative state that will imprint our soul substance. And if we don't feel capable to visualize ourselves in a more desirable state, that's a symptom that there's a blockage. And it's more difficult to impress a new experience in our soul. And what we need is to go question, to confront, to look at this blockage, to look at this part of us that it's in opposition to what we desire. So to visualize, we need a concept, a clear concept, a clear idea. What is the state that I want to access? That's a step that we need. The next step is to visualize. And the visualization, it's not to fantasize about a state. It's not having hope, an illusory hope. This comes from attitudes that we don't want to face. Visualizing means that we can see ourselves, perceive ourselves in that state, to feel in that state. This visualization, it needs for us to conceive of that state. If we can't conceive of that state, it will be very hard for us to create. And what we need to see first is the part that opposes this visualizing or that place. Something that I loved of this process is that we will need a prototype. We will need an example, a person that has accessed that state, and not to copy, but to inspire ourselves, to adapt the aspect that this person has, that our aspect that ultimately are universal aspects that we recognize in other people, but that we will adapt to our own way and expression. Without a prototype, without a person that inspires us, without a person that has accessed somehow that state, is very hard to create. We need to see how these people make mistakes, how they fail, how they transcend and grow from those mistakes, how those people grow. We need real people who live in harmony, who live in an abundant state, who have intimate relationships. And when we see these people, we say, okay, I want this. And we'll start somehow to imitate, because all of the attitudes are very contagious. All of the opinions, the feelings, the states of that these people create, the patterns of behavior, it's very contagious. And it has the power of influencing us. And that process of influencing takes us to identifying, to emulate, to imitate. Today, influencers are all over in social media, and how there's more and more of these people, how this grows. That's why it's so necessary to be our best self and going towards even better selves of ourselves, the ones that the ones of us who are somehow an example to others. When we're children, our parents are that example. And if our parents and ourselves as children, we are enough purified, we will take these positive universal aspects, and we will visualize in those states. Now, if we reject one of our parents, which is very common, we will identify negatively. We will create images, wrong beliefs. We will perceive life from a limited standpoint. And that is going to make our soul substance rigid, the soul substance that we have to create. That is why to find a positive role model with whom to identify, and with time to become this person to others, even being parents, in many cases, how many of us that we were parents doing a process like this one, I am so thankful to life and all of the people that helped me, and many of them are here because because I'm not a perfect mother, obviously. I make a lot of mistakes, but I can learn from my mistakes and I can relax in my mistakes. And that makes me really peaceful to live this life. Now, if we are blind to our positive aspects, or if we're blind to positive aspects of people, we're going to misunderstand what we see, because we're always going to see our perception will be limited. I remind you that we shape our soul substance with our consciousness. Our consciousness molds that substance. And if we don't confront the beliefs, the expansion towards new states is not possible, or it becomes very difficult. So being able to recognize these figures that inspire us in their ways, in the ways they confront, that makes it that we can grow into more desirable states, and that we can inspire to become our best selves. Now, for this, there's some requirements. First, if we're willing to commit to truth with that inner being, to see that part, specifically the part that resists that commitment, where we're not willing to pay the price. Because if we want to access a new state, we're going to need to quit certain things, certain habits, certain attitudes. We're going to need to move in a certain way or in a certain state. If we want to go towards intimacy in our lives, the price to pay is to quit to hiding who we are. And the price to pay is to reveal, is to go through the fears and questioning. All of that shows up as we access more intimacy in our relationships. So facing and confronting, getting to know, revealing and showing the part in ourselves that says, I won't. I want things to be my way. I want this to be this way. And if not, I don't want anything else. So as long as we make these movements, and as long as we look at these places that resist, those places lose power of creation. But as long as those places stay intact, and when we deny those places, we're gonna stay split. There's gonna be places in our lives that are going to be empty, our relationships where we can be around a lot of people, but we won't feel that deep connection of being able to rest, being who we are inside of ourselves. And this is a process that requires patience, honesty, discipline. It takes time for those habits, those healthy habits to embody these healthy habits. It takes time for us to trust that inner voice that knows where to go. And if the movement that we make is truthful, that will be seen in our lives. Every experience that we will have where there's a reaction or fear, or we see ourselves in tension, instead of seeing it as a catastrophe and of asking the outside to change, we'll see it as an opportunity to find the deeper truth that is underneath all of that. And that way, the thoughts become more flexible, the feelings and the attitudes more fluid, the decisions that we make, be it daily decisions or bigger decisions, we're going to make them from a certainty place, from a conviction, listening to that inner voice that knows that any decision I make, I'm going to include the all. It's going to be included in that decision. We're going to take everything that happens as a way of getting to know the truth that is underneath everything that apparently creates life. That connection with the divine brings joy, brings truth, brings wisdom, and also a safety and a confidence in ourselves. In that moment where we open ourselves to this process, we know that inner will not only is trustworthy, but it's also connected with what our heart longs for deeply. And when we go through these resistance places, not only we gain confidence, but we also become very relaxed and very trusting that the answer will come. In that state of relaxation, thoughts come up that seem not to be ours. Instructions come to us that seem not to be from us, that we don't even know that they're there. Those answers that come, it's as if they reveal union in everything that is involved. There's no fear, there's no anxiety. And all of that takes us into a more satisfying state. And we will see that everything that happens, we'll see it as a symptom of where we are. It's a test that will say, okay, what's the truth in this place? Who am I with this person? What is it that it's inside of me? Every negative situation that we go through, we'll go seek the cause inside of us. We'll use every negative situation instead of becoming depressed and trying to find situations that we think of as good or perfect. Every situation will seem perfect, because every situation is perfect as long as we're willing to find the cause inside of us and to use this as a stepping stone to grow into more truth, to grow into more love, into more connection. This is a process where also we will stop hiding, of suppressing, where we will use everything that comes up, because all of the tension and all of the fear, once we start seeing it, starts to release that energy that is trapped in these places, so that we can use it to create what we desire. Accessing this inner source, this divine source that is eternal, that is knowing that life is our own creation. And because we are not afraid of feeling pain, the pain too becomes part of life, becomes part of the experience. It doesn't mean that we won't have fear or that we won't be angry. On the contrary, it means that if we feel it, we will use it as a portal, as an entryway to find the truth that is trapped, and for that truth to be released, that energy to be released, to create the desirable experiences. So instead of creating isolation or loneliness, we will create intimacy. Instead of creating helplessness, we will feel that embrace. Our ideas will become very creative. We won't be afraid. We won't create stagnation in life. We won't need to hide or to escape from what happens to us, because the courage we access as long as we do this process gives us this strength to confront or to question anything that shows up. Because all of experiences are desirable. And we will make place for an abundant life. We will be also very generous, not only in giving ourselves to others. Giving is not giving things to others, but it is to show who we are, to bring everything we are into relationships. And that generosity is also in the receiving others exactly how they are, and feeling gratitude for what is created in our lives today. The fear that we start to lose of who we are towards others, that is one of the things that most touches me, be it in groups or with my most intimate people. And for all of that, we need to visualize all of this. All of this is possible, and to take care of liberating and of confronting the part that opposes that we long for. May we know that we create according to our beliefs. And if we have the belief that we can't change and that others are to blame for what happens to us, that if we show what is inside of us, they are going to abuse us or reject us, we're going to create this. Now, if we believe we can change and to grow from hopelessness to hope, and that other ways of life exist, that will be created in our lives. And this is where visualization comes in, for us to conceive, impress, visualize, and having faith that this is possible. And the guidelines that indicate that we're going in a good direction have to do with a satisfaction that we start feeling in our lives, with intimacy in our relationships, that we start having a balanced life, and that every time that we go off balance, we can come back easily. So this is what I wanted to say to you. So if there's questions, I would love to answer them. I think I have an issue that I can't read the chat. We have a team here that with Guillermo and Andrea to gather everything that people are saying in the chat. There's a lot of reflections. I'm going to bring a concrete question. So if you can bring concrete questions, that would be great. Cristina Matoso from Brazil asks, are we willing to become our best selves? Can we take on the price to pay, observing continuously our fear, our arrogance, and our self-will? Well, that is something that is important for you to ask yourself. This is a process of dedication that needs patience, dedication, of making mistakes, to go back to the mistake, to confront the mistake, because we don't let anything slip by. Everything is important. There's nothing, even the smallest thing, there's nothing that isn't important or necessary, because those are the next steps, and paying the price is one of the requirements. If I want to visualize myself in a different state, or if I want to access a state of creating a community, but I'm not willing to make the necessary movements, then that's going to be hard to create. So paying the price, being willing to pay the price of what we want. Because a lot of people say, well, I would love to teach all around the world and expand myself. And I say, okay, perfect, but maybe show yourself a little more. And the person says, oh, no. If I show myself, I'm embarrassed or I'm scared. And so there's things we need to question. And mainly, if we're willing to make the movements, and if we're willing to quit certain attitudes and certain habits that are destructive or negative. Another question, we're going to ask you to say your name and the country from where you're writing from. Marcelo Valentin Silva, I think you're from Brazil, Marcelo, but if you're not, let me know. Asks, why relaxing myself into my mistakes? Because mistakes are a part of being human. A human being who doesn't have mistakes, I don't know any, but if you know any, let me know. Usually when we make mistakes, we hide it, we judge ourselves, we mistreat ourselves, we don't love ourselves there, we don't like ourselves there. We're very cruel many times with our mistakes, because we believe that our errors are the obstacle. We think that they are the obstacle for us to get to the state that we want. But in reality, the errors are the portal of access towards that state. If we see the way we treat ourselves with those mistakes, we will know how much love we have towards us, how much self-love we have. If we don't allow ourselves to make mistakes, how much demand we have towards ourselves. And that's where we can relax, and because we can say, oh wow, this mistake helps me to see how much I demand of myself to be different of who I am. And if I demand myself to be different, that makes my soul rigid. It doesn't allow me to create differently. So the first thing I will do is to explore that lack of love to what I'm being, because I don't allow myself to make mistakes. And how I think I will access a state taking an illusory shortcut. because we can't skip steps. If there's an error, see how I treat myself, how can I relax into that error, how, if I look at what I demand of myself, that relaxes ourselves. Did I answer the question? I don't know if that was an answer. Marcelo, is that answer good? I'm gonna bring a question from Guilherme Fernandez. Those prototype figures that the guide speaks about need to be our parents, or can they be other people like teachers, like earthly teachers? Yeah, of course. I had, and I still have people that I inspire myself on in many versions. Now, if I reject one of my parents, it won't be very organic for me to pick a figure. Generally, I will try to pick a figure that doesn't look or that doesn't seem like the parent I reject, so I won't be able to see the positive aspects. I learn a lot in groups. I learn a lot when I am maybe teaching a class with a group or exchanging ideas. I learn from my friends. I learned from my girlfriends are prototypes to different states that I want to access in different areas. And when I see the mistakes they make and how the things they do or how they do them, I inspire myself in them. Even many times people that doesn't have much, that doesn't have much of a relationship with me, they inspire me in different movements. It doesn't need to be our parents, the teachers, as long as we don't idealize them, as long as we don't want them to make mistakes, we can grow there, because all of these aspects that we see in others, they are universal aspects. They don't belong exclusively to these people that we identify ourselves with. And like I said before, they're highly contagious. So to say, oh, wow, that's amazing, because I don't allow myself to be truthful, but I see how this other person, they very naturally are truthful. And so that relaxes me, and I want to learn from that. Yolanda asks, how important is meditation in this process? It's very important. Visualizing is a process that we do through meditation. Meditation in this path is a very quiet outside meditation and very active inside. It questions our inner voices, and it lets them express themselves. And that's where we get to know. And in that getting to know these voices that are involved in a situation, we start relaxing ourselves because we see more truth. In that quiet and in that profound activity, inner activity, we access more relaxation. It's a dance. Okay, one more question. Kathleen Goldberg. In the process of looking at ourselves inside and to confronting the resistance, how do you include the physical experience and the expression? Very good, Kathleen. So some of us, at least in my case, I need physical expression a lot. If I'm feeling something, I may know that I'm mad but that's something from the mind. But how do we express that state of fear or anger? All of those reviews that we make, our daily review, at least I do a daily practice every day. I also let the expression come out. The expression is very necessary, and that includes the physical body, and it includes the exact expression of what is. It's not like I'm going to say, okay, I'm in fear, but I'm going to allow myself for that fearful state go through my body, and for me to express it in a healthy environment, like in my daily practice or with different people that I work with internally. So I allow for that to go through me, or for it to go through my physical body, because in that way we liberate that from other levels. Raju from Colorado asks, it seems that we are constantly visualizing when we look out into the world or when we watch TV. I appreciate how you're bringing in conscious visualization. Please tell me, what are the blocks to seeing the future as a positive expansion? Oh, okay. Really? To me, the present is more important than the future. If today I feel satisfied with everything that is inside of me, the places that I need to grow, in which to grow, the places where I'm in balance, and all of the new states that we can access that we still don't know. Human beings, we have a huge power today, which is that we can create truth and create experiences that are not being created yet. The ones who are over 60 years old, like me, we can see the huge change, and it only in communication. In my case, when I was little, I didn't have a telephone for many years. I didn't have, because the cables didn't reach my house. And today, we can see the world, we can communicate, and we can feel deeply with others. So these new states are states that we wouldn't have even imagined. But if we trust in the movements that we take, of going through the obstacles, through the obstructions, and as long as we do it, we relax into what is in ourselves, we will take responsibility of our contribution, and we will question. We need to want to question what is creating negatively, where we still insist in opposing ourselves, which we still do. That will create such a relaxed state that it will allow for new experiences and new realities that we don't know yet express themselves in the world. So that's why it's so necessary, this work, this path too, that is so detailed. So thank you. Thank you, Jorgelina. Thank you, everyone. We'll finish up here for today. I would like to tell you that in May, there's a conference, International Pathwork Conference, that I highly recommend and suggest you come physically, and the ones who can't come physically, be there online. There's a lot of people with much wisdom and experience that we have a lot to give, and we can inspire with other people, and to create a network where we can all connect. We can send you how to sign up. You'll get it through email. And so thank you, everyone, I hope that a lot of us come together in Portugal. It's an international conference that it will have place in Tomar, Portugal, and I hope to meet a lot of the people here and to see many of you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jorgelina, for your beautiful voice. Thank you, the translations, the Agustina, Marilise, Anya. Thank you to the Pathwork Foundation for this invitation. Thank you, Letizia and Luigi, and everyone for creating this space. Very thankful.